The Japanese thought they could make a surprise attack on Midway Island and capture the airbase. The battle plan was to consist of 3 parts. The striking force, commanded by Vice Admiral Chuichi Nagumo, was to come from the north and destroy the defenses on the island. Then the occupation force, commanded by Vice Admiral Nobutake Kondo, was to capture and occupy the island. Finally, Admiral Isuruko Yamamoto and his fleet would defend the island from a counterattack. Due to the efforts of the U.S. Navy's cryptanalytic team, led by Joseph Rochefort, the U.S. Navy learned of the plan and were able to prepare for the attack. Task Force 16 departs Hawaii on May 27th, and after some repairs to USS Yorktown, Task Force 17 departs on the 30th. They head 350 miles northeast of Midway to wait for the incoming attack. June 4th, 0630, the Japanese dropped bombs along the north side of Eastern Island and in the hangar and barracks area on Sand Island. The powerhouse on Eastern Island and the oil tanks on Sand Island were their primary targets. As the Japanese attack was ending, the U.S. bombers from Midway, 4 B-26s and 6 TBFs, find their target at 0705. 16 of Major Henderson's SBDs dived through the clouds, emerging to encounter heavy anti-aircraft fire from Hiryu. Sweeney's B-17 started their attack, going after Soryu, Hiryu, and Akagi. During this attack, Nautilus appears, putting even more pressure on the Japanese Navy. SB-2U dive bombers start their attack. They were engaged by a large number of Japanese fighters, forcing them to give up their attack and choose a battleship as their target instead. Amidst the confusion, Nagumo receives a report that the U.S. have at least 1 carrier in the area. When the action winds down, he repositions his fleet to engage the carrier. The Hornet and the Enterprise had launched their planes earlier, with the Hornet group flying west and no contact. The Hornet's torpedo squadron, led by Lieutenant Commander John C. Waldron, broke off and turned south. At 0920, they found the Japanese carriers. VT-6 arrives before the rest of the Enterprise group. They target Kaga at 0938 and fire off some torpedoes, but none hit. 12 torpedo bombers from Yorktown target Hiryu, but score no hits. 17 dive bombers from Yorktown's BB-3 begin their attack and target Soryu, scoring 3 hits, causing fires on all 3 hangars. When the Enterprise group arrives, they don't see any Japanese carriers. Lieutenant Commander Clarence W. McCluskey Jr. spots a Japanese destroyer and, making the most important decision of the entire action, turns his whole group north. When McCluskey and the Enterprise bombers arrive, they attack Kaga, scoring 5 direct hits and set the carrier ablaze. Dick Best and his 2 wingmen turned their attack on Akagi. With 1 lucky shot, a bomb sliced through the flight deck and exploded in the upper hangar in the midst of the aircraft there. Shortly after, the carrier burst into flames. 3 carriers are disabled, but the last carrier escapes undamaged, so the Yorktown sends out 10 scout bombers to search for it. At 11:52, radar picks up a large number of planes heading for Yorktown, and fighters are ordered to intercept the approaching plane. They quickly cut down their attackers, but 7 bombers break through only to meet a formidable screen of anti-aircraft fire. Despite this, 3 hits have been made on Yorktown. Damage to the Yorktown proved not to be serious, and repairs were made quickly. The hole in the flight deck was covered in less than a half an hour. By 1420, the 10 bombers of VS-5 that Yorktown sent out earlier find the last Japanese carrier. Yorktown's radar picks up a second incoming Japanese attack bearing 340 degrees. U.S. fighters are launched from Yorktown and shoot down several of the torpedo planes before the ships open fire. Of the planes that got past, 4 were able to drop their torpedoes. 2 of these the Yorktown avoided by skillful maneuvering. 2 others, however, could not be avoided, and they caught her amidships on the port side. With the Yorktown listing heavily to port, the orders were given to abandon ship, and Admiral Fletcher moves to the Astoria. At 1530, the Enterprise began launching an attack group of 26 scout bombers. The Enterprise squadron sighted the Japanese force at 1650. They dove in from the sun and scored 4 direct hits on Blue, which was soon a mass of flames. With the bombing of the 4th Japanese carrier, the U.S. had won control of the air. The Battle of Midway was essentially a victory of intelligence. We knew of the Japanese presence, the approximate composition of their force and had calculated correctly their method of approach.